All right, chat. So today I want to talk about mentality in fighting games. Now, there's a couple of different ways you could talk about mentality when it comes to fighting games. Of course, there is the self-improvement. There is going to be the way of acceptance of your mentality of acceptance for the game for what it is. And of course, the one we're going to be really talking about today, which is trying to fix your mentality. So there was a good Reddit post that I saw, somebody talking about fixing their mentality, and I wanted to pretty much go over it with you guys because I see this happen a lot inside of my like stream chat, or I see it in the comments and stuff, where people just say like, you know, they're trying out a game or they get frustrated because of, you know, they can't improve, they don't know how to improve, or they just lose, and then they sort of just go on this like vicious cycle of trying to basically beat people who they can't beat even without the self-improvement. So it's sort of this cycle that happens. I really just want to talk about this and break it down as to why this may happen and how to try to avoid this situation so you can actually try to improve in fighting games. So they stated, needing help with my mentality with fighting games. Is it possible to fix my mindset? So it says, with fighting games, I noticed a few things that ultimately hold me back from becoming good. The biggest one being my mindset. Whenever I get defeated, I get extremely salty. I don't expect to win every match. That is unrealistic. However, if I practice a combo, block string, or if I have tried to learn a new character, it feels demotivating to practice all of this only to still lose. It makes me think, what is the point of all of that if it amounts to nothing? And that isn't even the worst part. I also tend to tie my self-worth with winning. I don't know why I do this, but I do. So yeah, if you have any advice or maybe any videos to share on how to change this thought process of mine, then please share them. So this is a very common scenario, right, chat? So you see this happen all the time when it comes to new players, where they try to learn something and they get frustrated in the process. And I think the main thing that's happening here for the first part, before we can go down to the bottom, is that they have sort of a playing to win mindset rather than a learning mindset, I feel. So on paper, it seems like they're trying to learn. They're actually practicing a thing. They say they're practicing combos, block strings, and like learning new characters, stuff like that. So that's totally fine. You know, going in the training room, actually trying those things, that is what you want to do. But then there's the other thing of applying it in your matches. So it's actually applying these things and understanding that you're going to lose when you're trying to apply these things. So it's almost like doing anything new in life, really. I mean, it could be a sport, it could be anything like that. It could be like, you know, you're trying to play basketball, you know, you're probably going to be really bad when you first. You got so many things to work on. You got to work on your dribbling, got to work on your shooting, your free throws, understanding the game and all that. So many other aspects of it. It could be like, I don't know, bodybuilding. You want to do bodybuilding competitions, you're probably going to suck at the first couple ones. You got to like know exactly like how your body works with food and understanding the nutritional values, understanding what type of workouts and stuff for the bulk, for the type of look that you want. And you're probably gonna lose many competitions when you first start as far as the bodybuilding. Only reason I'm talking about this because my dad's a bodybuilder, but besides that, this is a very common thing that a lot of people fall trapped to, and it's just the fact that they just have a mentality of they have to get the results right there. You know, fighting games is sort of the opposite of what you expect from the gaming convention itself. As far as when you play fighting games, you don't actually get the satisfaction of the self-improvement as early as you may think. Sometimes it may take longer. Now, in other games, you get the satisfaction of completion rather early on. And say if you're playing an RPG, you know, you can level up and beat the boss or beat the story mode and all that. So you can do all that stuff very quickly, and you get that early satisfaction of that completionist state, or something that you can complete these goals that you have in mind. They're pretty easy to obtain. You know, you could beat an RPG, even if it's like pretty long, you know, you sit there for a while, for like a week, even a week. So this is not something that's going to happen within a fighting game. Sometimes it takes years, months, years to like get some of this stuff down. Like I said before, from my own personal experience, it took me about 2 to 3 months to understand how to instant air dash properly. Like, some things just take longer for people to get, and that's just something that people have to realize. So like I mentioned before, we briefly touched on this topic when we were talking about the gamification of fighting games and how you could try to make this process a little bit easier yourself by trying to make a game out of this. So they mentioned they're practicing a combo where rather than focusing on winning the matches, because you know you're going to lose, how about you make it a game? Like, okay, I'm going to do 10 reps of this combo before I get off the night. I'll make sure that I hit this combo 10 times on a person. I'll make sure that I only do this block string, right? I know all these other block strings, but I'm going to force myself into the situation to where I can do this block string. I want to make sure I get this block string down. I want to get it inside of my head, because I could do it all day in training room, but when it comes to actually playing matches and other people, I don't have like the muscle memory in my head for like actual matches yet. So I'm gonna force myself into the situations so I could do the combo, so I can do the block string, so I can, like, you know, learn the character like they're trying to do. So you have to force yourself in these situations and making it sort of like a game itself. And that way you can start playing in the way of learning rather than trying to win. And this is the mentality you got to have when coming into fighting games. Now, this is not to say for every time that you play the game, you have to play in a way of learning. There's other ways to play as far as like getting like tournament rating and stuff like that. So you're like not trying to like focus on like playing and forcing certain situations. You're trying to play in a very strategic way and stuff like that. This is where a time where you want to try to like put everything that you learn together into one consecutive thing and try to win. You can do this against sets versus like friends or training partners. You know, having training partners around your level is very good. I always recommend for newer players or anybody really to have a training partner at their level and a person like slightly above their level. I never say like, you know, it's okay to play people like below your level. That's fine. It's always good, I feel like, to give people who want to learn the game that are a little bit lower than you a chance to like play, especially if they're like, if you're slightly above them, then that's perfect. Now, never to somebody like super above you, because then it's kind of hard for you to learn and they're just running all over you, and then like it's completely different experience. There's really nothing to learn from a person that just beat you, unless you are already pristine player in other fighting games and you're just coming to a new fighting game so you can learn like that. If you're a newer player, you really won't learn anything from that. It's pretty hard to learn like that. But yeah, that is actually the time to try to put everything that you learn into one consecutive thing and try to do it in some serious matches against something like that. So that is usually what I recommend. Try to learn inside of the online matches and then try to apply that stuff together in a consecutive format when you're going up against your training partners or versus some serious sets. I'm pretty sure many fighting game players understand the last concept of where this player was coming from, where they're saying they put their own self-worth based on their performance. I myself have found myself guilty of this as well, trying to put my own self-worth based on my performance because I felt like I plateaued in the game, like I'm not improving anymore. But going back and looking at how I started versus like where I am, I could definitely see that there's improvement happening. It's almost like when you're trying to like, I don't know, once again using working out and trying to like change your body type, right? It's very hard to notice the changes over time based when you see your body every day, right? It's hard to notice the changes, but when you go out and you go meet a friend that you haven't seen for a while, they'll notice the changes right away because they don't see you all the time. So if it's been like 2 to 3 months and you're seeing your friend, they'd be like, whoa, hey, you definitely are getting bigger. What you doing over there and stuff like that. So you know, your friends and stuff or people will definitely notice the changes even though you won't. And it's always just small things, always just trying to improve small things. The changes won't be big. Yes, it may feel like you plateaued, and there's going to be a certain point where you're going to have like a point where it's going to be harder for you to improve. Like everybody has that like point that like they hit that peak, and then like trying to break past that peak is what makes a good player into a great player. You know, everybody has that. So it's just finding those weaknesses early on and trying to tackle them bit by bit, trying to actually improve so that stagnation that everyone hits isn't something that's permanent for you. And at the end of the day, it's just video games, man. You know, everybody is trying to improve. You know, everybody has something they are trying to work towards. And sometimes it just takes people longer than others to do certain things, like I said before. So trust me, if you're watching this, you are definitely worth more than what you think you are as far as your fighting game performance go. Anyway, chat, I don't know who needed to hear this, but I just saw this on Reddit and I thought it was something that really touched me because I really felt this, because I definitely been there where I felt like this was me. Like this was definitely a time in my fighting game career where I felt like there was no hope for me. I would just always like be sad. It was less salty and more sad, and like they said, you know, it was their self-worth on the wins, even online and stuff like that. You just put everything on the line for it, and like that's just something you have to break as a player and just realize it's just part of the process, and it's always going to be there no matter what it is. You could be the best player in the world, there will always be somebody that's going to be coming after you. But yeah, I don't want to ramble on this topic too long, just wanted to give some thoughts. But for the people on the YouTube, how you guys feel about this? Let me know. I definitely want to hear how you guys feel about fighting game mentalities. Have you felt like this before, that you weren't improving or you put your self-worth on it? How do you feel also about the gamification of fighting games, you know, trying to actually just make a game out of the learning process to make things a little bit easier? How you guys feel about that? As always, if you like anything I had to say, drop me a like, I greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, follow my socials. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn notifications so you know the next video goes live. As always, my name is Daikin, and I'll see you next time. Signing out.